How to Make Your Money Last by Bryant Quinn. Introduction. What if your retirement savings run out before you do? It's a haunting question, one that millions of people quietly carry with them as they inch closer to retirement. You've worked for decades, sacrificed, saved when you could, and now the moment is approaching. But instead of excitement, there's anxiety. Will the money be enough? What happens if you live longer than you planned for? What if one medical emergency wipes out years of careful saving? These are the questions that keep people up at night. And the scariest part is that most don't talk about it. Retirement anxiety is one of the most common, yet silent fears in the world today. But here's the good news. You don't have to walk into retirement blindfolded. There is a plan, a path, and a proven strategy. Bryant Quinn, one of the most respected financial voices of our time, has given us a remarkable gift through her book, How to Make Your Money Last. This isn't just another retirement book filled with generic advice. It's a realistic, empowering guide designed to help you stretch your dollars without sacrificing the life you want. Quinn doesn't just talk theory. She offers real solutions that work in the real world. Whether you're a soon-to-be retiree or someone already navigating life after work, this book can help you build a solid financial foundation that lasts as long as you do. In this video, we're going to break down her wisdom into 11 practical, powerful lessons that will transform your financial future. We'll show you how to plan for a longer life, how to turn your savings into a reliable income stream, how to maximize Social Security, invest wisely, avoid healthcare shocks, lower your taxes, and leave a meaningful legacy behind. And we're not just sharing facts. We're telling real stories, giving you clear actions, and asking you the hard questions that lead to growth. Because here's the truth. Peace of mind doesn't come from how much you have. It comes from knowing you have a plan. When you have clarity, you gain confidence. When you have strategy, you gain control. Retirement should be a season of freedom, not fear. And that freedom starts with taking ownership of your financial future. So let me ask you, are you ready to take control of your future? If so, keep watching. Your roadmap to a lasting, secure, and fulfilling retirement starts right here. Section 1. The Retirement Reality Check. Planning for a Longer Life. Retirement isn't a reward at the end of your working life. It's an entirely new chapter. But too often, people treat it like a brief vacation rather than a full-blown phase of life that could span 3 or 4 decades. Imagine starting a journey with no clear idea how far it will take you or how long it will last. That's how most people approach retirement. They picture a few golden years of travel, relaxation, and hobbies, but they rarely pause to ask, what if I live to 95 or even 100? Will my money still be there for me? This is the retirement reality check. The first and most crucial step in making your money last is recognizing how long it might need to support you. According to the Social Security Administration, a 65-year-old today has a nearly 20% chance of living past 90. And medical advances continue to push life expectancies upward. That's wonderful news for our health and relationships. But financially, it can be a ticking time bomb if we're not prepared. Living longer means spending more years without a paycheck, more years paying for health care, and more years battling inflation. It means your retirement savings have to stretch much farther than you may have planned. Many retirees run into financial trouble not because they were irresponsible or lived lavishly, but because they didn't understand the math of longevity. They underestimated their lifespan, assumed that their modest savings would probably be enough, and made choices based on a 10 or 15-year retirement instead of a 30-year one. But time doesn't slow down for anyone. And when you reach your 80s or 90s with limited funds, the emotional and practical costs can be devastating. Take Margaret's story, for example. She was a hard-working nurse who retired at 65 with $250,000 in her savings account. She had no pension, modest Social Security, and lived a reasonably frugal life. Margaret figured that her nest egg, combined with Social Security, would carry her comfortably into old age. And for a while, it did. She enjoyed her early retirement years, took small trips, and maintained a simple lifestyle. But as she crossed into her late 70s, things started to shift. Her home needed repairs. Her medical expenses crept up. Prescription costs ballooned. By the time she turned 80, she had only $10,000 left in savings. Her Social Security barely covered her rent and groceries, and the rest went toward medication. She had to cut back on everything. No more travel, no more eating out, and no margin for emergencies. Her independence began to slip away. And it all started with a simple miscalculation. She planned for a short retirement, not a long one. To avoid Margaret's fate, you need to plan for the possibility, not just the probability, of living a very long life. That means using realistic life expectancy tools, many of which are available online. Don't just assume that because your parents passed away in their 70s, you will too. Healthcare, nutrition, and technology are changing the game. Assume you'll live longer than you expect. It's better to over-prepare than to run out of resources too soon. Once you've accepted the possibility of a long retirement, you need to build your plan around it. First, look at your expected sources of income: Social Security, pensions, if any, annuities, and savings. Then evaluate your spending. How much will you need each year, adjusted for inflation? Healthcare is one of the biggest variables here. According to Fidelity, the average retired couple will need over $300,000 for medical expenses over the course of retirement, not including long-term care. That's a staggering number, and it must be included in your long-term planning. Inflation is another silent threat. Even a modest 3% inflation rate can dramatically reduce your purchasing power over 30 years. That cup of coffee that costs $2.50 today could cost over $6 in 30 years. If your investments and income streams aren't growing along with inflation, you'll slowly lose the ability to afford the lifestyle you've worked so hard for. What can you do practically? First, build your retirement budget based on a life expectancy of at least 95. Use conservative estimates for returns and generous estimates for costs. If you end up living only to 85, you'll have more than enough. But if you do live longer, you'll be grateful for the cushion. Make sure to include an emergency fund, set aside funds specifically for health care, and consider products like long-term care insurance or deferred income annuities to protect against the costs of very old age. Another key move is to delay claiming Social Security if possible. Each year you delay past your full retirement age, up to age 70, your benefit increases by about 8%. That means a much higher monthly check for the rest of your life, which becomes especially valuable if you live into your 90s or beyond. That higher guaranteed income can act as a buffer against outliving your savings. Also, consider part-time work or side income in early retirement years. Not only does this provide financial breathing room, but it keeps you engaged, active, and social. Important factors for both mental and physical health. You don't need to be a financial expert to plan for longevity. But you do need to be honest. Honest about how long you might live. Honest about your expenses. Honest about what you'll need and how you'll get there. Retirement isn't a finish line. It's a new beginning. One that requires a long-term strategy, not just short-term comfort. So let me ask you, are you planning for the life you truly want, or just the life you think you can afford? Are you letting fear and assumptions dictate your future? Or are you willing to look 30 years ahead and design a plan that brings peace, dignity, and joy? The truth is, the earlier you face this reality, the more control you have. And the more control you have, the more freedom you gain. Planning for a longer life doesn't mean restricting yourself today. It means empowering yourself to live boldly tomorrow and every day after. So take a moment now, breathe deep, and make a promise to yourself. I will plan like I'll live to 100. Because if I do, I want those years to be full, not fearful. That's the first and most powerful step toward making your money last. Section 2. The power of knowing what you spend. One of the most overlooked keys to financial freedom in retirement isn't about earning more, investing smarter, or even saving harder. It's about knowing exactly what you spend. It sounds simple, almost too simple, but it's one of the most transformational steps you can take. Because the truth is, you can't control what you don't track. And in retirement, where your income is often fixed or limited, clarity around your spending becomes your greatest advantage. Budgeting isn't about restriction. It's about awareness. It's not about pinching pennies. It's about building a life that fits your resources, your values, and your long-term goals. Far too many retirees drift into this stage of life with a rough estimate of their monthly expenses. They assume that their current lifestyle will magically match their new income streams. But assumptions are dangerous, especially when you no longer have a salary to fall back on. Without a clear understanding of your actual spending habits, you could be living well beyond your means without even realizing it. And when you don't know where your money goes, you leave yourself vulnerable to slowly draining your savings without warning. Bryant Quinn emphasizes that the path to lasting financial security starts with knowing your numbers. This isn't about becoming a financial analyst. It's about stepping into your power by shining a light on your daily financial decisions. Most people think budgeting is a punishment, but in truth, it's one of the most liberating practices you can adopt. When you know what you spend, you gain choices. You know what to keep, what to cut, and what to change. You stop guessing and start leading. So, how do you begin? Start with a simple challenge. For the next 30 to 90 days, track every single expense. Yes, every one. From your mortgage or rent to your coffee runs, subscription services, car maintenance, snacks, medication, gifts, track it all. You can use free apps like Mint, which link directly to your accounts and categorize your spending automatically. Or try You Need a Budget, INAB, a more proactive approach that forces you to give every dollar a job. Even a basic Excel spreadsheet or notebook can work just fine. The key is consistency. Every dollar should be accounted for. Once you've tracked your spending, the next step is categorization. Break it down into needs and wants. Needs include things like housing, food, medical care, insurance, utilities, things you absolutely must pay to live safely. Wants include entertainment, dining out, hobbies, vacations, and impulse purchases. The goal here isn't to cut out all the fun. It's to understand where your money is going and which areas give you the most value or joy. For example, you might discover you're spending $400 a month on dining out, but only $100 on groceries. That's not inherently wrong, but is that what you want? Or maybe you're paying for 6 streaming services when you only really use 2. Or maybe, like James, you have a long-standing hobby that's slowly bleeding your budget dry. James was a former corporate executive who retired with a sizable nest egg and a love for golf. He played every week, had a premium country club membership, bought new gear regularly, and even traveled for tournaments. At first, he thought nothing of it. It was his reward for decades of hard work. But when he finally sat down to review his spending, he was shocked to find he was spending over $1,200 a month on golf alone. That's more than $14,000 a year. He hadn't realized how much it added up because the expenses were scattered. Greens fees here, a new club there, travel costs, snacks, dues. It all seemed small until he put it together. When he saw the numbers, he was stunned. That single habit was putting serious pressure on his savings and threatening his ability to cover long-term needs like healthcare or emergencies. To be clear, the lesson here isn't don't golf. It's know the cost of your lifestyle and decide if it aligns with your long-term goals. After his eye-opening discovery, James didn't give up golf entirely. He switched to a public course, limited his play to twice a month, and let go of his club membership. That alone saved him over $9,000 a year. He still enjoyed the game, but now within a framework that protected his financial security. When you track and assess your spending, you'll inevitably find patterns. Some might make you proud, others might surprise you, but every dollar tells a story. It tells you what you value, what you prioritize, and what trade-offs you're making, whether you realize it or not. This awareness opens the door to better decisions. Maybe you decide to cut your entertainment budget and redirect that money toward travel, your grandkids, or a rainy day fund. Maybe you discover you're spending more on stuff than on experiences, and you decide to flip that. Or maybe you're already living well within your means, and you gain the confidence to spend a little more freely, knowing you're safe. This is what financial freedom actually looks like. Not unlimited money, but the clarity and confidence to use what you have wisely. Another benefit of tracking expenses is that it gives you the ability to project your future more accurately. If you know your average monthly spending, you can start building a real retirement income plan. You can figure out how much you need to draw from your savings, what portion of that is covered by Social Security or pensions, and where the gaps are. You can test your plan against inflation, unexpected costs, or market downturns. You can stop living in uncertainty and start living in awareness. Too often, people approach retirement spending emotionally, spending a little here, saving a little there, and hoping it all balances out. But hope is not a strategy, especially when you're in your 60s, 70s, or 80s and don't have time to recover from major mistakes. Clarity is your protection. Awareness is your power. So, here's your challenge. Go back and look at your last 3 months of spending. Print out your bank statements, credit card bills, and receipts. Highlight everything. Add it up. What categories stand out? What surprised you? What shocked you? Where are you bleeding money without realizing it? What changes feel easy? What changes feel hard? The answers might be uncomfortable, but they will be life-changing. This single exercise could be the most important step you take toward a sustainable, joyful retirement. Because once you know where your money goes, you can make it go where it matters most. In the end, knowing what you spend isn't about living smaller. It's about living smarter. It's about owning your life and designing a future that's built on wisdom, not guesswork. So take the time. Do the math. Know your numbers. Because when you do, you'll discover something powerful. Peace of mind isn't found in having more. It's found in understanding what you have and using it with intention. Section 3. Social Security. The smart way to claim. When it comes to retirement income, Few decisions carry as much lifelong impact as when and how you choose to claim Social Security. It's a choice that may appear straightforward on the surface, but in reality, it's one of the most strategic financial moves you'll ever make. The difference between claiming benefits early versus waiting until later could mean tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of dollars over the course of your retirement. The core truth is simple, yet powerful. Timing is everything. Claiming Social Security early gives you immediate access to income, but at a permanent reduction. Delaying it, on the other hand, increases your monthly benefits substantially and can provide a powerful hedge against longevity and inflation risk. This isn't just about getting more money. It's about creating a stable, predictable income stream that lasts for life. Why does this matter so much? Because Social Security is often the only guaranteed income source retirees will have for the rest of their lives. Pensions have largely disappeared, and investments fluctuate. But Social Security is backed by the U.S. government and offers inflation-adjusted payments until your final day. That makes it a foundational piece of your retirement income puzzle. If you're going to depend on it, and most people do, then maximizing it becomes not just smart, but necessary. Here's what many people get wrong. They focus only on the short term. The minute they turn 62, the earliest eligible age, they file for benefits. It feels like a reward. Finally, after decades of working, the checks start coming in. But what's often overlooked is the cost of that decision. Claiming at 62 locks in a benefit that is up to 30% lower than what you would receive at your full retirement age, which is around 66 or 67, depending on when you were born. And if you wait until 70, your monthly check grows by about 8% for every year you delay past your full retirement age. That's a guaranteed return that's incredibly difficult to match in any other investment vehicle. Let's look at a real-world example. Nancy, a retired nurse, faced this exact decision. At age 62, she was eligible to begin collecting $2,100 a month. It was tempting. She had no pension, her savings were modest, and the idea of starting checks right away gave her a sense of relief. But she also knew she was in good health and came from a family with a history of longevity. With the help of a financial advisor, Nancy ran the numbers. If she waited until age 70 to claim, her benefit would increase to $3,200 a month. That's $1,100 more every single month for the rest of her life. She calculated the break-even point, the age at which the total income from delaying would surpass the total income from claiming early. For her, that point was around age 80. If she lived past that, and she likely would, delaying would pay off in a big way. She chose to wait. Today, at 72, Nancy is collecting $3,200 a month. That's nearly $13,000 more per year than she would have received had she claimed early. Over a 20-year retirement, that's more than $250,000 in additional income. This is why it's essential to approach Social Security with strategy, not impulse. Start by understanding your full retirement age and what your benefits look like at each possible claiming age. Use online calculators from the Social Security Administration, SSA, or talk to a retirement planner. Consider your health, your expected longevity, your marital status, and your financial needs. If you're married, remember that spousal and survivor benefits can also play a huge role in your decision. For married couples, coordinating when each spouse claims can be especially powerful. For instance, the lower-earning spouse might claim earlier to bring in some income, while the higher-earning spouse delays to maximize their eventual benefit. This not only increases monthly income for the survivor, should one spouse pass away, but it also ensures that the larger benefit lasts as long as either of you lives. There are also special strategies involving spousal benefits. If one spouse didn't work enough to qualify for their own full benefit, they may still be entitled to up to 50% of the other spouse's benefit. Additionally, divorced individuals who were married for at least 10 years may qualify for benefits based on their ex-spouse's record, without affecting the ex-spouse's payments. These options can provide critical income, but only if you understand and apply the rules correctly. Social Security isn't a one-size-fits-all system. The right time to claim depends on your life circumstances, health, and goals. If you have chronic medical conditions or a shorter life expectancy, claiming earlier may make sense. But if you're in good health and expect to live into your 80s or 90s, waiting, even just a few years, can significantly boost your long-term financial security. One of the most effective tools in deciding when to claim is the break-even analysis. This compares total benefits received at different ages to identify the point where delaying overtakes early claiming. It helps you weigh the value of getting money now versus getting more money later. It's not a perfect prediction tool, but it provides clarity. And that clarity can empower you to make choices based not on fear or habit, but on logic and vision. There's also the psychological angle. Many people feel a sense of urgency when they reach their early 60s. They've worked hard, they're tired, and they want to begin reaping the rewards. But ask yourself, are you optimizing for short-term ease or long-term peace of mind? If claiming now gives you a moment of relief but leaves you stretched thin later, is it really worth it? Retirement isn't just about the next 5 years, it's about the next 25. That's the beauty of Social Security. It's designed to be a steady, dependable source of income for life. But it only works in your favor if you use it wisely. By waiting to claim, you not only boost your own benefit, but also create a stronger safety net for your spouse. You give yourself more breathing room. You reduce your dependence on market-based income. You build resilience into your retirement plan. So before you rush to file, take a step back. Gather your facts. Look at the big picture. Explore your options. If you're unsure, talk to a professional. This isn't just a paperwork decision. It's a cornerstone of your future. The money you claim from Social Security could be the difference between scraping by and living securely, between stress and stability. In the end, claiming Social Security the smart way is about honoring your future self. It's about making a choice today that protects your peace of mind tomorrow. So pause, plan, and then act with confidence, knowing you're not just collecting a benefit, but claiming a more secure future. Section 4. Creating a lifetime income plan. One of the most powerful moves you can make in retirement is transforming your savings into a reliable, predictable stream of income that lasts for the rest of your life. This process, commonly referred to as a lifetime income plan, is the foundation of financial security after you stop working. It's not just about how much you've saved, but how you draw from those savings to support your lifestyle without fear of running out. Retirement is a new phase, not a finish line. And in this new phase, you're no longer earning a paycheck, which means you need to create one for yourself, intentionally and sustainably. The core idea here is simple. You must have a clear, strategic plan for how you will withdraw money from your retirement accounts. Without this plan, two dangerous patterns emerge. You may spend too much too soon, fueled by excitement or underestimating your lifespan, and run the risk of depleting your resources early. On the other hand, you may become overly cautious, spending too little, living with unnecessary fear, and depriving yourself of the comfort and enjoyment you've earned. A lifetime income plan strikes the balance between these two extremes, allowing you to live confidently without financial stress. Why does this matter so much? Because retirement is longer than ever before. Thanks to medical advances and healthier lifestyles, many people spend 25 to 30 years in retirement. That's 3 decades of expenses, inflation, market fluctuations, health surprises, and changing personal needs. Simply having a pile of savings isn't enough. You need a system, a methodical way to convert that pile into monthly income that lasts for as long as you do, no matter what happens in the markets or your health. One of the most widely used principles in retirement planning is the 4% rule. This strategy suggests that you can withdraw 4% of your retirement savings in your first year of retirement, and then adjust that amount for inflation each year. For example, if you retire with $1 million, you could withdraw $40,000 in the first year. This rule is based on historical market data and assumes a diversified portfolio of stocks and bonds. It's not perfect, but it offers a strong starting point for building a withdrawal plan that protects against longevity risk. However, to create a more refined income plan, many retirees go beyond the 4% rule and adopt a bucket strategy. This approach divides your retirement savings into 3 distinct buckets based on time horizon and risk tolerance. The first bucket is for short-term needs and contains cash or cash equivalents. This is your safety net for immediate expenses over the next 1 to 3 years. The second bucket holds bonds or other fixed-income assets designed to provide moderate growth with lower volatility, covering years 3 to 10. The third bucket is invested in stocks or growth-oriented assets and is meant for long-term income beyond 10 years. This structure not only provides income today, but also growth for tomorrow. Let's consider the story of Joe, a retired teacher who implemented this 3-bucket strategy with great success. When Joe retired at 65, he had $750,000 in savings. With the help of a financial advisor, he allocated $75,000 to Bucket 1, cash for 3 years, $225,000 to Bucket 2, bonds and conservative mutual funds, and the remaining $450,000 to Bucket 3, a diversified stock portfolio. Each year, he reviewed his spending, replenished the short-term bucket from the others when necessary, and adjusted as market conditions changed. Now, 15 years later, Joe is 80, and his portfolio is still intact, his income steady, and his stress levels low. He travels, supports his grandkids, and lives life without the shadow of financial fear. What makes Joe's strategy so effective is its flexibility and adaptability. Retirement is not static. Unexpected expenses can arise. Markets can crash. Inflation can surge. Your health may change. That's why an annual review of your income plan is critical. Once a year, sit down, alone or with a financial advisor, and ask, is my withdrawal rate still sustainable? Do I need to adjust my spending? Should I rebalance my investments? Are there better ways to reduce taxes? This ongoing maintenance is essential for making your plan work long-term. Taxes are another crucial part of a lifetime income plan. Different accounts, like traditional IRAs, Roth IRAs, and taxable brokerage accounts, are taxed differently when you withdraw funds. A smart withdrawal strategy doesn't just consider how much to take out, but also where to take it from in order to minimize taxes. For example, you might draw from taxable accounts first to allow tax-deferred accounts to continue growing. Or you may strategically convert some traditional IRA funds into a Roth IRA in lower income years to reduce future tax burdens. A tax-efficient plan can preserve more of your savings and stretch your income further than you might expect. Additionally, don't forget to factor in guaranteed income sources like Social Security or pensions. These act as the foundation of your retirement paycheck. Your savings plan is designed to supplement that base. If your Social Security covers 50% of your monthly needs, then your savings only need to generate the other 50%. This perspective helps bring clarity to your numbers and may reduce the pressure you feel about needing an enormous retirement nest egg. Emotionally, a lifetime income plan is one of the most liberating tools a retiree can possess. The fear of running out of money can overshadow your retirement years and keep you from enjoying what you've worked so hard to build. But with a thoughtful withdrawal strategy, that fear is replaced with freedom. You no longer worry about whether you can afford a vacation, help a family member, or upgrade your car. You've accounted for it, you've planned for it, and that peace of mind is priceless. Imagine this. What would change in your life if you knew your money would last forever? Would you finally take that trip you've been dreaming of for years? Would you help your grandkids with college? Would you volunteer, start a passion project, or move to a location that brings you joy? The point of retirement is not just to survive, it's to thrive. And thriving starts with confidence in your financial future. Creating a lifetime income plan isn't about complexity. It's about clarity. It's about knowing what you need, what you have, and how to connect the two in a way that gives you control. With a steady, dependable income plan, you no longer react to market swings or headlines. You live with intention, supported by a system that works quietly in the background to ensure your security. So take the time, run the numbers, understand your needs, build your buckets, review your plan every year. Retirement doesn't come with a paycheck, but with the right strategy, you can write your own every single month for the rest of your life. Section 5. Annuities: the good, the bad, and the essential. When it comes to retirement planning, there's one word that tends to spark confusion, skepticism, and curiosity all at once: annuities. For some, annuities seem like a financial trap filled with hidden fees. For others, they're a safe harbor providing peace of mind and guaranteed income. The truth? Annuities can be either a brilliant tool or a costly mistake, depending entirely on how and which you choose to use. In a world where people are living longer than ever before, annuities offer something precious: the ability to never outlive your income. But like any financial product, they require careful understanding. At their core, annuities are contracts between you and an insurance company. You pay a lump sum, or make a series of payments, and in return, the company promises to pay you a guaranteed income for life or a set number of years. This simple promise addresses one of the biggest financial risks in retirement: longevity risk. Outliving your savings is a real possibility, especially as life expectancies stretch into the 90s and beyond. Annuities are designed to mitigate that risk by shifting the burden of providing lifelong income from you to a large, well-capitalized insurance company. But not all annuities are created equal. Some are straightforward, low-cost, and effective. Others are riddled with complex structures, high fees, and opaque terms that favor the seller more than the buyer. That's why this section focuses on the good, the bad, and the essential when it comes to annuities, so you can make smart, informed decisions and avoid common traps. Let's start with the good: immediate and deferred income annuities. These are the most useful types for retirement income. With an immediate income annuity, you pay a lump sum now and begin receiving regular, guaranteed payments right away, often monthly, for the rest of your life or for a fixed period. It's ideal for people who need income now and want the security of knowing they'll never outlive that stream. A deferred income annuity, by contrast, allows you to buy the contract now, but start receiving payments later, perhaps in 10, 15, or even 20 years. This is perfect for people who want to create a longevity safety net. One standout example is Linda, a retired nurse who, at age 65, used a portion of her savings to purchase a deferred income annuity that begins paying out at age 80. While she continues to manage her own investments and withdrawals now, she sleeps soundly, knowing that if she lives into her 90s, she'll have a guaranteed paycheck backing her up no matter what the markets do. What makes these annuities particularly powerful is that they are simple and predictable. You know what you'll get, when you'll get it, and for how long. There are no market dependencies, no complicated riders, and no guessing games. That reliability makes them essential building blocks for a secure retirement, especially when used in combination with Social Security, pensions, and personal savings. Now, let's look at the bad. Variable and indexed annuities. These products are often marketed aggressively with promises of growth potential or no downside risk. But they're complicated and filled with hidden costs. Variable annuities allow you to invest in mutual fund-like sub-accounts, which means your payout depends on market performance. While they sometimes include income guarantees, the fees can be sky-high, often exceeding 2% to 3% annually when all charges are added up. This can erode returns significantly over time. Indexed annuities promise to give you a portion of the stock market's upside without the downside. But the fine print usually reveals caps, spreads, and participation rates that severely limit your earnings. For example, if the S&P 500 gains 10% in a year, you might only receive 4% due to a cap. Meanwhile, if the market drops, you get nothing. But your money is locked up for years, sometimes a decade or more, with steep penalties for early withdrawals. These annuities are not inherently evil, but they're often oversold and underexplained. Many people buy them without fully understanding how they work or whether they align with their goals. In many cases, people are lured by the guarantee language and don't realize they're locking themselves into a low-return product with limited flexibility. That's why education is crucial. If you can't clearly explain how the annuity works in 1 or 2 sentences, you probably shouldn't buy it. So what's essential when considering annuities? First, choose the right type. For most retirees, single premium immediate annuities, SPIAs, or deferred income annuities, DIAs, are the most effective tools for creating predictable lifetime income. Second, only use a portion of your savings to buy an annuity. You don't want to lock up all your money in an insurance contract, especially since inflation, emergencies, and changing needs require liquidity and flexibility. Third, always buy annuities only from highly rated insurers. You're depending on that company to send you checks for the next 20 to 30 years. That means financial strength is non-negotiable. Look for ratings of A or higher from agencies like AM Best, Moody's, or Standard & Poor's. You don't want to take risks with your guaranteed income. Fourth, shop around. Annuity payout rates vary from one insurer to another, sometimes significantly. A 65-year-old male might be offered $600 a month from one company and $675 from another for the same premium. Use online tools, work with a fee-only financial advisor, or get multiple quotes before making a decision. Finally, consider how annuities fit into your overall retirement plan. Don't buy one just because you're afraid of the market or tempted by a salesperson. Buy it because it fills a specific need. Guaranteed income that lasts no matter how long you live. Annuities work best when they're one part of a broader strategy that includes Social Security, pensions, investment withdrawals, and cash reserves. The emotional benefit of a well-chosen annuity is often underestimated. Imagine waking up each day in retirement and knowing that, no matter what happens with inflation, stock prices, or interest rates, your basic expenses are covered. That peace of mind can free you to enjoy your life without fear, whether that means traveling, gifting to family, pursuing hobbies, or simply relaxing. It's not about maximizing returns, it's about maximizing confidence. Of course, annuities aren't for everyone. Some people prefer to manage their own portfolios. Others have pensions or enough in Social Security to meet their income needs. But for those without a reliable lifetime income stream, annuities offer a powerful tool. They're not flashy, they're not exciting, but they do one thing incredibly well: guarantee income for life, no matter how long you live. So ask yourself, what's scarier, living too short or living too long without income? Most people prepare for the former, but it's the latter that poses the greater risk in retirement. Annuities, used wisely, help solve that problem with quiet efficiency. In the end, retirement planning isn't just about growing your money. It's about making sure your money shows up month after month for as long as you do. And that's exactly what the right annuity can deliver. Section 6. The Safe Withdrawal Strategy: Protecting Your Nest Egg. Retirement isn't just about accumulating enough money, it's about making it last. Once you've stopped working, your income stops too, and the burden of meeting your everyday expenses shifts to your savings. This shift transforms your investment portfolio from a wealth-building machine into a life-sustaining engine. And how you drive that engine, specifically how much you withdraw and when, can make the difference between financial peace and painful regret. That's where the safe withdrawal strategy becomes essential. It's not just about math, it's about sustaining your quality of life for decades. The concept is simple but powerful. If you withdraw too much from your retirement savings too soon, you risk running out of money. On the other hand, if you withdraw too little out of fear, you might live a restricted lifestyle despite having enough to enjoy life fully. The right withdrawal strategy is about balance, drawing down your funds in a way that supports your lifestyle without risking depletion. But finding that balance requires more than just picking a number. It requires a plan that accounts for market fluctuations, inflation, taxes, and longevity. Traditionally, financial planners used a static approach, famously known as the 4% rule. This rule suggests that if you withdraw 4% of your portfolio in your first year of retirement and adjust that amount each year for inflation, you should be able to make your money last 30 years. The idea was based on historical market data and assumed a balanced portfolio of stocks and bonds. For example, if you retire with $1 million, you'd withdraw $40,000 the first year, then increase it slightly each year based on inflation. While simple and intuitive, the 4% rule has significant limitations. It doesn't account for changing market conditions, personal spending needs, or sequence of returns risk. The danger of encountering poor investment returns early in retirement, which can irreparably damage your portfolio's longevity. This is precisely what happened to Carol, a retired schoolteacher. She followed a static 5% withdrawal strategy, thinking it was conservative enough. But when the markets dipped sharply in the early years of her retirement, she continued withdrawing the same amount, unadjusted. By the time she reached age 78, her portfolio had been depleted to the point where she had no choice but to sell her home and drastically downsize. Her strategy lacked flexibility, and it cost her dearly. To avoid such outcomes, many experts now recommend dynamic withdrawal strategies. These involve adjusting your withdrawals annually based on how your portfolio performs, current inflation, and your personal needs. When markets are up, you might take a bit more. When they're down, you cut back slightly. This approach mirrors how you naturally budget when you're working, spending more during good years and tightening your belt when things are lean. Dynamic strategies are more realistic and responsive than fixed rules, and they're supported by powerful planning tools like FireCalc, Vanguard's Retirement Nest Egg Calculator, and Fidelity's Retirement Score. These tools simulate thousands of potential future market scenarios using historical data to estimate how long your money will last based on your inputs: age, savings, spending, asset allocation, and expected market returns. They help you understand the probability of success, and more importantly, how your strategy holds up under stress. For instance, using FireCalc, you can test what happens if you retire into a bear market, or if inflation spikes, or if you live well into your 90s. The tool shows whether your strategy will likely hold or whether adjustments are needed. This kind of foresight can empower you to act early, maybe by reducing spending slightly in bad years or delaying large expenses like travel or home upgrades until your portfolio recovers. A flexible withdrawal approach might follow guardrails such as the Guyton-Klinger decision rules, which are designed to increase withdrawals in strong years and reduce them when returns are poor, while never deviating so much as to cause hardship. Another variation is the floor and ceiling method, where you set a minimum and maximum withdrawal range and stay within those boundaries depending on market performance. Whatever method you choose, the key principle is this: don't ignore reality. Markets go up and down. Inflation rises and falls. Your life changes, sometimes suddenly. A withdrawal plan that doesn't adapt is destined to break. That's why retirees must actively manage their strategy, not just set it and forget it. Another critical aspect of safe withdrawal is monitoring your spending habits. Retirement doesn't mean spending at a constant rate forever. Many retirees spend more in their early retirement years, traveling, enjoying leisure activities, or helping family. Spending often slows in the mid-retirement years and may rise again later due to healthcare needs. Understanding these phases can help you build a more accurate, phased withdrawal plan. Taxes also play a big role. Withdrawing from tax-deferred accounts like IRAs or 401ks can trigger taxable income, and doing so inefficiently may push you into higher brackets or reduce your Medicare benefits. A tax-aware withdrawal strategy, such as drawing from taxable accounts first or performing Roth conversions during low-income years, can extend the life of your nest egg by reducing what you owe the IRS. Inflation is another silent threat. Even at modest rates, inflation slowly erodes purchasing power. A $50,000 annual budget today might require $80,000 or more in 20 years to maintain the same lifestyle. If your withdrawal plan doesn't account for inflation properly, your standard of living could decline without you realizing it. That's why investments that grow over time, such as equities, are still a vital part of your portfolio in retirement, even if you shift toward more conservative allocations. So, how should you protect your nest egg? Start with a clear, written withdrawal plan. Use retirement planning software or a trusted advisor to model different scenarios. Build in flexibility, don't fear making adjustments, and consider setting a safe spending range rather than a rigid number. Review your plan annually. Adjust your spending when markets dip, and increase when there's room to breathe. Equally important, maintain emergency reserves outside your investment portfolio. A cash cushion of 1 to 2 years of expenses gives you the freedom to pause withdrawals from your portfolio during bear markets. This reduces the pressure to sell investments at a loss and gives your assets time to recover. In the end, the safe withdrawal strategy is not about depriving yourself of joy in retirement. It's about making smart, responsive choices that protect your financial freedom for decades. Retirement isn't a single moment. It's a journey that can span 30 or more years. Your withdrawal strategy should be built not on guesswork, but on thoughtful planning, regular review, and a willingness to adapt. So ask yourself honestly, is your withdrawal strategy designed for stability or just guesswork? If it's the latter, now is the time to course correct. Because in retirement, the only thing worse than running out of money is realizing too late that you could have prevented it. A flexible, informed withdrawal strategy won't just preserve your wealth, it will preserve your peace of mind. Section 7. Investing after retirement. Smart risk, steady growth. Many people think of retirement as the finish line for investing, where you move everything to cash and live off what you've saved. But this mindset can be dangerously outdated. In reality, retirement is not the end of your investment journey. It's the beginning of a new phase that still demands smart, strategic growth. You're no longer chasing aggressive returns, but you're also not in a position to ignore inflation, longevity, or market trends. The goal isn't just to protect your wealth, it's to grow it steadily and safely for the decades ahead. One of the biggest financial risks in retirement isn't stock market crashes, it's inflation. Inflation slowly and silently erodes your buying power over time. What seems like a comfortable nest egg today can feel worryingly insufficient 10 or 20 years from now if it's not growing. Consider this. If inflation averages just 3% annually, your cost of living will double in about 24 years. That means a $50,000 yearly lifestyle today could require nearly $100,000 in your later retirement years. If your money isn't growing enough to keep up, you may be forced to either cut your standard of living or draw down your savings too fast. That's why keeping some exposure to stocks in retirement is not just smart, it's essential. Stocks offer long-term growth potential that bonds and cash can't match. Yes, they come with more short-term volatility, but over time, they historically deliver higher returns that outpace inflation. By contrast, cash earns little to no interest, and even bonds, while safer, may not yield enough to sustain a 30-year retirement when inflation is factored in. Of course, the key is to strike a balanced approach to risk. Retirement investing is not about hitting home runs anymore. It's about consistency, preservation, and reasonable growth. A widely recommended asset mix is the 60-40 portfolio, 60% in stocks and 40% in bonds. This classic allocation offers a blend of growth and safety, providing equity exposure for inflation protection and bond stability to cushion downturns. For those with lower risk tolerance, a 50-50 split can still deliver respectable long-term growth while minimizing volatility. But simply choosing an asset allocation isn't enough. You must also diversify within those categories. That means spreading your stock exposure across domestic and international markets, large cap and small cap companies, and various industries. On the bond side, you'll want a mix of short and intermediate-term bonds, government and corporate, and possibly inflation-protected securities. Diversification reduces the risk of catastrophic losses from any single economic event or sector collapse. One of the smartest tools in your retirement investing toolkit is index funds. These low-cost, passively managed funds track the performance of a broad market segment, like the S&P 500 or a total bond market index, and have historically outperformed most actively managed funds over the long haul, especially after fees. In retirement, where fees can eat up a significant portion of returns, keeping your costs low is crucial. Every percentage point saved in fees is a percentage point added to your future. Take the example of Thomas, a retired civil engineer who approached retirement cautiously after watching the markets tumble during the 2008 crisis. Instead of retreating to cash, he kept 30% of his portfolio in broad-based stock index funds and the rest in diversified bonds and cash equivalents. Over the next 20 years, including 2 recessions and several market corrections, his portfolio continued to grow steadily. His stock allocation helped him beat inflation, while his conservative bond holdings gave him peace of mind during downturns. His approach wasn't about chasing big wins, it was about resilience and long-term balance. Another critical element of post-retirement investing is rebalancing. Over time, market movements will shift your portfolio out of its original allocation. For example, during a bull market, stocks may grow faster than bonds, turning a 60-40 allocation into 70-30. Rebalancing involves selling a portion of the overperforming asset and reinvesting in the underperforming one to maintain your intended risk level. Doing this annually or semi-annually keeps your portfolio aligned with your goals and prevents you from taking on more risk than you realize. It's also important to adjust your investment strategy gradually as you age. Early in retirement, you might keep a higher equity allocation because you potentially have 25 to 30 years ahead of you. As you move deeper into retirement and begin drawing more heavily on your assets, it can be wise to shift slightly more toward conservative holdings. But even at age 80 or beyond, some exposure to equities is generally advisable to guard against longevity risk, the risk of outliving your money. Another strategy worth considering is the bucket approach. This involves dividing your assets into time-based categories: a short-term bucket, cash and short-term bonds, to cover 1 to 3 years of expenses, a mid-term bucket, intermediate-term bonds and conservative investments, for years 4 to 10, and a long-term bucket, stocks and growth investments, for years 11 and beyond. This method gives you a psychological and financial roadmap for withdrawals, helping you stay calm during market turbulence because your immediate needs are protected. Additionally, retirees should be mindful of tax efficiency in their investment strategies. Where your money is held, Roth accounts, traditional IRAs, or taxable brokerage accounts can impact how much tax you pay when you withdraw or rebalance. Drawing from tax-deferred accounts in a planned sequence, converting to Roth accounts during low-income years, or strategically harvesting capital gains can all extend the life of your portfolio. As you structure your post-retirement investments, it's also wise to have a cash buffer or emergency fund that isn't invested in the markets at all. This can prevent you from having to sell stocks during a downturn to meet short-term needs, giving your long-term investments time to recover. Many advisors suggest keeping 6 to 12 months of living expenses in cash, especially in the early years of retirement. Ultimately, your investment approach in retirement reflects your mindset. Are you playing not to lose, hoarding cash, reacting emotionally to market swings, and living in fear? Or are you playing to thrive, investing with purpose, managing risk thoughtfully, and trusting in a well-constructed plan? The truth is, retirement success depends not just on how much you saved, but how wisely you continue to grow and manage it. Retirement doesn't mean you stop caring about your money. In many ways, it's when your money needs to start working even harder for you. By keeping a strategic portion of your assets invested, staying diversified, managing your risks, rebalancing regularly, and leveraging tax-smart strategies, you can protect your purchasing power, support your lifestyle, and thrive in retirement, not just survive it. So ask yourself, are you investing like someone who's afraid to lose, or like someone who plans to win long into the future? The difference can mean everything when it comes to enjoying the retirement you worked so hard to achieve. Section 8. Managing Health Care and Insurance in Retirement. Retirement brings freedom, leisure, and time to do what you love. But it also brings one of the most complex and potentially devastating financial burdens: health care. For many retirees, health care becomes the single largest expense they face, often outpacing even housing or food. The unfortunate truth is that people live longer today, and while that's a blessing, it often comes with chronic illnesses, expensive prescriptions, and long-term care needs. If you don't prepare for these costs early, even a well-funded retirement plan can collapse under the weight of unexpected medical bills. Having only health insurance isn't enough. You need a comprehensive healthcare strategy. Why is healthcare so expensive in retirement? First, Medicare doesn't cover everything. Many people mistakenly assume that once they turn 65 and enroll in Medicare, they're fully protected. But Medicare has its own structure of deductibles, co-pays, and gaps. There are multiple parts to it. Part A covers hospital care, Part B covers outpatient and doctor visits, Part D covers prescription drugs, and Part C, Medicare Advantage, bundles several services under one plan. Without a clear understanding of how these parts work together and what they exclude, retirees can be left with large uncovered expenses. Let's break that down. Medicare Part A is typically premium-free, but it only covers a portion of hospital costs and has a deductible. Part B has a monthly premium and also comes with coinsurance after meeting the deductible. If you don't have additional coverage, you'll pay 20% of most outpatient services. Prescription drugs under Part D can become particularly costly, especially if your medication needs increase with age. Most plans include a coverage gap known as the donut hole, which can lead to significant out-of-pocket spending. To fill these gaps, retirees often choose between Medigap, supplemental insurance, and Medicare Advantage, Part C plans. Medigap is designed to cover out-of-pocket expenses, like co-pays, deductibles, and coinsurance that original Medicare doesn't handle. However, Medigap doesn't include drug coverage, so you still need a Part D plan. Medicare Advantage plans, on the other hand, combine hospital, medical, and sometimes drug coverage into a single plan and may offer additional benefits like dental and vision, but they often come with a restricted network of providers and may require prior authorizations for certain procedures. Choosing between Medigap and Medicare Advantage is a deeply personal decision. It depends on your health, financial resources, travel habits, and preferred doctors. While Advantage plans can have lower premiums, they might limit your access to specialists or treatment options. Medigap usually comes with higher monthly premiums, but provides more predictable out-of-pocket costs and broader flexibility. The key is to evaluate your future needs, not just your current health. If you develop a serious illness later in retirement, switching from one plan to another may be difficult or impossible. Even with the right Medicare coverage, retirees must plan for out-of-pocket costs. These can include co-pays, dental and vision expenses, hearing aids, and other non-covered services. A 65-year-old couple retiring today may spend over $300,000 in medical costs throughout their retirement, not including long-term care. That's why budgeting for health care from the start is crucial. Setting aside a dedicated health savings account, HSA, if you're still working, is one smart way to do this. HSAs offer tax-free contributions, growth, and withdrawals for qualified expenses, making them one of the most powerful retirement planning tools available, though you can't contribute after enrolling in Medicare. And then there's the elephant in the room: long-term care. Most people don't want to think about it, but around 70% of adults over age 65 will need some form of long-term care in their lifetime. This includes services like help with bathing, dressing or eating, things not covered by Medicare. Whether provided in a nursing home, assisted living facility, or at home, long-term care is extremely expensive, with costs ranging from $4,000 to $12,000 per month, depending on the type and location of care. The story of Barbara is a perfect example of what happens when this aspect of retirement planning is ignored. Barbara was financially stable, had a solid pension, and lived comfortably. But when she developed dementia and needed to move into a care facility, she was shocked to discover that her insurance didn't cover the costs. With monthly fees topping $3,000, her savings quickly dwindled. She was eventually forced to sell her home to continue paying for care. Her experience is sadly common and avoidable. To protect against this, many financial advisors recommend long-term care insurance. These policies can cover a portion of the costs of nursing homes, assisted living, and home care. The earlier you buy it, ideally in your 50s or early 60s, the more affordable and accessible it is. While premiums can be expensive, they're often far less than the cost of care. Some newer policies combine life insurance with long-term care benefits, offering flexibility and ensuring your premiums don't go to waste if care is never needed. However, long-term care insurance isn't right for everyone. It's important to assess whether you can afford the premiums over the long term and whether you're healthy enough to qualify. If the cost is prohibitive or your declined coverage, other strategies like setting aside a portion of your portfolio specifically for future care, using annuities with care riders, or even relying on Medicaid in a worst-case scenario, should be explored. Don't overlook the importance of routine and preventive care either. Managing chronic conditions like diabetes, hypertension, or arthritis early on can help reduce the need for more serious interventions later. Make sure to maintain regular checkups, follow medication plans, and engage in a healthy lifestyle. Staying physically and mentally active, eating well, and reducing stress can dramatically impact your long-term health care costs and quality of life. Another piece of the healthcare puzzle is having the right legal and medical directives in place. A healthcare proxy, living will, and power of attorney ensure that your wishes are honored and that someone you trust can make decisions on your behalf if you become incapacitated. These documents can save your family from agonizing decisions during difficult times and prevent legal and financial complications. Healthcare in retirement isn't just about insurance. It's about control, foresight, and peace of mind. If you approach it reactively, buying a plan here, taking a prescription there, you risk being caught off guard when the real expenses hit. But if you take a proactive stance, educating yourself about Medicare, planning for long-term care, budgeting for out-of-pocket costs, you position yourself to retire with confidence, security, and dignity. Ask yourself this: do you have a healthcare plan or just health insurance? The difference can mean everything. Health insurance is a policy. A healthcare plan is a strategy. One just reacts when things go wrong. The other prepares so things don't go worse. In retirement, with your health and savings on the line, only a well-thought-out plan can shield you from the financial shocks that medical needs can bring. Retirement should be a time of rest and reward, not a time of worry over hospital bills or assisted living costs. With the right knowledge, tools, and planning, you can safeguard your health and your wealth, ensuring that the life you've worked so hard for remains in your control every step of the way. Section 9. Taxes and Retirement. Legally pay less. Taxes in retirement are often underestimated. Most people spend their working years focused on saving and investing, but they overlook the tax implications of those savings when it's finally time to withdraw them. Retirement tax planning is not just a financial tactic. It's a strategy that could save you thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars. It's about making the most of what you've earned by understanding how to legally reduce what you owe. Because in retirement, it's not just about what you earn, it's about what you keep. Many retirees are shocked to learn that their Social Security benefits can be taxed. If your combined income, defined as your adjusted gross income plus non-taxable interest plus half your Social Security benefits, exceeds certain thresholds, up to 85% of your Social Security income can be taxable. This tax burden can eat into the very safety net you worked decades to secure. Planning how and when to claim Social Security, in coordination with how and when to draw from other income sources, is essential to reduce this impact. Then there are required minimum distributions, RMDs, one of the most overlooked tax traps in retirement. Starting at age 73, retirees must begin withdrawing a required amount each year from their traditional IRAs and 401ks, even if they don't need the money. These withdrawals are taxed as ordinary income and can push retirees into a higher tax bracket, affecting not only income taxes but also Medicare premiums and Social Security taxation. Failing to take an RMD comes with severe penalties, up to 25% of the amount you were supposed to withdraw. So, how do you stay ahead of the tax game? One of the most powerful tools is the Roth IRA conversion. Converting a traditional IRA into a Roth IRA means paying taxes now, at potentially lower rates, rather than later when rates may be higher. Once the money is in a Roth IRA, it grows tax-free and can be withdrawn tax-free in retirement. Additionally, Roth IRAs are not subject to RMDs, which gives you more control over your taxable income later in life. Let's look at Steve, a retiree who began strategically converting portions of his traditional IRA to a Roth starting at age 60. He did it slowly, over several years, taking care not to push himself into a higher tax bracket. Over the next decade, Steve saved over $40,000 in taxes, not because he earned more, but because he planned better. His taxable income in later years remained low, his Medicare premiums stayed stable, and his Social Security was taxed less. This type of foresight isn't just clever, it's transformational. Another critical tactic is staggering withdrawals. Instead of relying on one source of income, like your 401k or IRA, blend distributions from different buckets: taxable, tax-deferred, and tax-free accounts. For instance, you might withdraw some money from your taxable investment account, which may only trigger capital gains tax, a portion from your IRA, which is taxed as ordinary income, and another portion from your Roth, which isn't taxed at all. This balance helps you avoid large spikes in taxable income and keeps you within a lower bracket year after year. Don't underestimate the power of the standard deduction, especially if you're married and filing jointly. In 2025, the standard deduction for married couples over 65 is expected to exceed $30,000. That means you can withdraw that amount from a combination of income sources and owe nothing in federal taxes, if planned correctly. Strategic withdrawals that keep you under this threshold allow you to access funds tax-free while avoiding unnecessary penalties or charges. Capital gains taxes are another crucial area to monitor. If you have investments outside of retirement accounts, such as stocks, mutual funds, or real estate, selling these assets could trigger capital gains. But here's the opportunity. Long-term capital gains may be taxed at 0% if your income falls within a lower bracket. By managing your taxable income effectively, you can potentially realize gains on investments without paying any tax on the profit. This window doesn't last forever, and careful annual planning is needed to make the most of it. Let's also not forget qualified charitable distributions, QCDs. If you're 70 and a half or older, you can donate up to $100,000 annually directly from your IRA to a qualified charity. The best part? That amount counts toward your RMD but is not included in your taxable income. This is a brilliant strategy for generous retirees who don't need all of their required minimum distribution income and want to reduce their tax burden while supporting causes they care about. Tax diversification should begin even before you retire. By building a mix of tax-deferred, taxable, and tax-free accounts during your working years, you give yourself flexibility later. A retiree with only traditional IRAs has little choice when it comes time to take RMDs, but someone with a Roth IRA and a taxable brokerage account can choose how to withdraw in a way that minimizes taxes. Flexibility equals savings. Retirees should also pay close attention to how their income affects Medicare premiums. Known as IRMAA, Income-Related Monthly Adjustment Amount, this surcharge increases your Medicare Part B and D premiums if your income exceeds certain levels. For example, a small jump in income, maybe triggered by a large IRA withdrawal or capital gain, can lead to hundreds or even thousands of dollars more per year in Medicare costs. Keeping your income under these thresholds becomes an important planning goal. It's also essential to understand the impact of state taxes. While some states don't tax retirement income at all, others tax Social Security, pensions, and distributions from IRAs or 401ks. When choosing where to retire, consider not just the climate, but the tax climate too. A beautiful place with high retirement taxes could erode your savings faster than expected. Research the tax laws of your state and plan accordingly. Don't attempt to do all this alone. Tax laws are complex, and they change often. Working with a financial planner or tax advisor who understands retirement strategies can make all the difference. They can help you model scenarios, minimize tax liability, and adjust your plan as life evolves. Remember, tax efficiency isn't about cheating the system. It's about using the system wisely, within the law, to keep more of what's rightfully yours. In retirement, every dollar counts. You've spent decades working, saving, investing, and planning. Why give a large portion of that back to the IRS if you don't have to? With thoughtful strategies like Roth conversions, staggering withdrawals, taking advantage of deductions, and monitoring capital gains, you can enjoy the fruits of your labor without unnecessary tax burdens. So, ask yourself, are you unknowingly giving the IRS more than you need to? Because if you're not planning, you probably are. Retirement tax planning isn't about beating the system. It's about understanding it well enough to play by the rules and still win. Those who take the time to learn or work with professionals can retire with more freedom, more income, and more control over their financial destiny. Ultimately, the goal of tax planning in retirement is peace of mind. Knowing that your money is working efficiently and legally gives you the confidence to spend, travel, give, and enjoy retirement to the fullest, without fear of hidden tax surprises. That's not just smart planning. That's financial freedom. Section 10. Leaving a legacy. Estate planning made simple. Most people hear the term estate planning and immediately picture the ultra-wealthy. Families with sprawling mansions, multiple properties, and millions in the bank. But the truth is, you don't need to be rich to need an estate plan. Every single person, regardless of income level, has a legacy to leave behind. It's not about how much you have. It's about what you care about, who you love, and how you want to be remembered. Without clear, intentional planning, your final wishes could go unfulfilled, your loved ones could suffer, and your legacy could unravel in a courtroom. Estate planning isn't only for the end of life, it's for life itself. It's a gift to those you leave behind, a roadmap for how to carry on in your absence, and a safeguard that ensures your values, assets, and decisions are honored. At the heart of estate planning is one simple idea. You control the story your money tells after you're gone. With a little time, thought, and action, you can avoid confusion, conflict, and costly legal battles. The most essential tool in your estate planning toolkit is a will. A will outlines who gets what, who's in charge, and how things should be handled. Without a will, the state decides for you, and their choices may not reflect your values. Dying intestate, without a will, often means your estate will be tied up in probate, a court-supervised process that can be long, expensive, and emotionally draining for your family. Even worse, your money and possessions could end up in the hands of people you didn't intend to benefit, while those you cared most about are left with nothing but frustration and legal bills. Take Daniel, for example. When he passed away unexpectedly at age 64, he hadn't written a will. He assumed everything would automatically go to his daughter, Mia. Instead, Mia found herself in a 3-year legal battle against distant relatives who had a claim under state intestacy laws. She faced court delays, legal fees, and immense emotional distress, all of which could have been avoided with a simple, signed document. By the time she received her rightful share, a significant portion had been eaten up by attorneys and probate costs. A clear estate plan would have spared her that heartache and ensured Daniel's wishes were followed without dispute. A will, however, is only one part of the puzzle. Equally important is naming beneficiaries on your financial accounts, life insurance policies, and retirement plans. These beneficiary designations override your will, which means if you forget to update them, your assets could go to an ex-spouse, a deceased person, or someone you no longer wish to benefit. It takes minutes to review and update these designations, but it can save years of conflict later. Make this an annual habit. Every time there's a life change, marriage, divorce, birth, or death, review your beneficiaries. Another vital document is the Durable Power of Attorney, POA. This legal tool lets someone you trust manage your financial affairs if you become incapacitated. Without it, your family may be forced to go to court just to pay your bills or access your accounts. A durable POA ensures that someone can step in seamlessly, handle business on your behalf, and avoid unnecessary legal hurdles. It's not a sign of weakness, it's an act of strength and foresight. Similarly, a healthcare directive, also called an advance directive or living will, allows you to express your medical wishes in case you can't speak for yourself. Who do you want to make healthcare decisions for you if you're unconscious or unable to communicate? What kind of care do you want or not want if you're terminally ill? These aren't easy questions, but answering them now protects your dignity later and removes an enormous emotional burden from your loved ones during an already stressful time. For those with more complex financial situations or simply a desire to avoid probate entirely, setting up a revocable living trust can be a smart move. A trust allows you to transfer your assets into a legal entity that you control during your lifetime. After you pass away, the assets in the trust are distributed according to your instructions, without going through probate. Trusts are especially useful if you own property in multiple states, have a blended family, or want to keep your estate matters private. They're not just for the wealthy, they're for anyone who wants to keep things smooth, simple, and out of court. Don't overlook digital assets either. More and more of our lives are online. Email accounts, digital photos, social media, subscriptions, cryptocurrency, even domain names. What happens to those after you're gone? Create a digital estate plan that lists your important online accounts, login credentials, and instructions for how they should be handled. Appoint someone trustworthy to carry out those wishes. Estate planning is also about your values, not just your valuables. Think about the legacy you want to leave. Do you want to support a cause that mattered to you? Leave a small scholarship fund for students? Help your grandchildren start businesses or go to college? These choices can be built into your estate plan through charitable bequests, donor-advised funds, or letters of instruction that share your hopes and dreams for your heirs. Another simple yet meaningful legacy tool is the ethical will. This isn't a legal document, but a personal letter in which you share your life lessons, hopes, and memories with those you love. While it doesn't transfer assets, it can transfer something far more valuable: your story. Imagine your children or grandchildren reading your words long after you're gone, learning not just what you left behind, but who you were and what you believed in. If you're worried about the cost of estate planning, don't be. While hiring an attorney to draft custom documents is ideal, especially for complex estates, many people can get started using reliable online services for basic wills and POAs. The most important step is not perfection, but action. Starting now, even with a simple will and updated beneficiary designations, is better than waiting until it's too late. Estate planning is an act of love. It's a way to care for your family even when you're no longer here. It's your voice in the room when decisions are being made. And it's your way of ensuring that the life you built doesn't unravel the moment you're gone. Procrastination is common, but it's risky. Life is uncertain, and the cost of delay is often paid by those you love the most. So ask yourself, what story will your money tell when you're gone? Will it tell a story of clarity, love, and preparation, or one of confusion, conflict, and chaos? You don't need to be a millionaire to leave a meaningful legacy. You just need to care enough to plan. And when you do, your legacy will live on, not just in dollars and documents, but in peace, purpose, and the people you've touched. Section 11. Financial Freedom and Peace of Mind. The Emotional Side of Retirement. Retirement is often portrayed as a number. You need X million dollars to retire. Make sure your portfolio earns Y%. But the truth is, retirement is not about the size of your bank account. It's about the state of your mind and the quality of your life. Financial freedom isn't just a math equation. It's an emotional experience that brings confidence, calm, and clarity. At its core, it's the ability to live the life you want without fear, guilt, or anxiety. And that begins with defining what enough really means for you. Many retirees, even those with substantial savings, are haunted by uncertainty. They've saved diligently, invested wisely, and followed all the traditional financial advice, yet they still lie awake at night asking, will it last? Am I spending too much? What if I outlive my money? These questions are not just about numbers. They're about identity, purpose, and control. Financial freedom is as much about your emotional relationship with money as it is about your net worth. That's why one of the most powerful tools you can create in retirement isn't a new investment. It's a financial mission statement. This simple document outlines your values, your goals, and how you want your money to support your life. It's a compass that keeps you grounded when markets fluctuate or fear sets in. Your mission statement might include phrases like, I want to live simply and spend money on experiences that bring me joy. Or, I will use my financial resources to support my family and give generously to causes I care about. This isn't just about tracking dollars. It's about creating a vision that brings meaning to those dollars. Take Maria, for example. She's a retired school teacher with a modest pension and a small nest egg. She doesn't drive a fancy car or take lavish trips, but she lives with a deep sense of richness because her spending reflects her values. She volunteers at her local library, tends her garden, and takes art classes at the community center. She doesn't feel deprived. She feels fulfilled. Her financial mission isn't about accumulating more. It's about living fully with what she has. That's true financial peace of mind. Retirement also brings emotional shifts that many people don't anticipate. You're no longer getting a paycheck, which can trigger feelings of vulnerability, especially for those who tied their identity to their career. The sense of purpose that once came from work must now be cultivated through relationships, hobbies, and service. And without clear direction, money can easily become a source of stress instead of freedom. That's why clarity and routine are so important. Start by revisiting your financial plan at least once a year. Not just the technical parts, the investments and withdrawal strategy, but the emotional parts too. Ask yourself, does my spending still align with my goals? Have my priorities changed? Is there something I've always wanted to do that I've been putting off? This is your time. And without regular reflection, it's easy to fall into either overspending or excessive fear-based saving, both of which steal your joy. Another key to emotional financial well-being is spending with intention. Don't just budget, prioritize joy. Make a list of things that bring genuine happiness and meaning to your life. Maybe it's family dinners, travel, learning, or giving. Then allocate your spending toward those areas and cut back on things that don't serve your happiness. When your money reflects your values, every dollar spent brings satisfaction, not regret. Many retirees also find comfort in creating buckets for their money, clear categories that distinguish essentials from extras. For example, one bucket covers fixed costs like housing and health care, another supports flexible spending like hobbies and dining out, and a third is reserved for long-term goals or emergencies. This structure reduces anxiety and helps retirees feel in control, even if the markets get rocky. Don't underestimate the value of community either. Isolation is a silent threat in retirement. Financial freedom means little if you're living in loneliness. Make it a priority to build relationships, join groups, stay connected, and keep learning. Whether it's a walking club, a church group, or an online course, staying engaged is vital to your emotional health and your financial outlook. Studies show that people who feel connected and purposeful tend to spend more mindfully and experience less financial stress. If anxiety still lingers, consider working with a retirement coach or financial therapist, not just a traditional financial advisor. These professionals help you navigate the emotional side of money, addressing fears, identity shifts, and behavioral patterns that could sabotage your peace. Sometimes, it's not the numbers that need fixing. It's the stories you've believed about money, scarcity, or worthiness. One often overlooked part of emotional well-being in retirement is having honest conversations with your family. Let them know your plans, your boundaries, and your intentions. Are you planning to support your grandkids through college? Will you help adult children buy homes? Do you expect to downsize and move closer to relatives? The more you share now, the less conflict and confusion there will be later. Financial peace also comes from knowing that the people you love understand your choices and respect your journey. And finally, embrace the truth that enough is a moving target, and that's okay. What felt like enough 5 years ago may not feel the same today. Your needs, desires, and dreams will evolve. The key is to remain flexible and open-hearted, adjusting your plans while staying true to your core values. Financial freedom is not the absence of worry. It's the presence of intention. It's knowing you've prepared, made thoughtful decisions, and chosen a path that reflects who you are. It's not about keeping up with anyone. It's about feeling whole, satisfied, and secure in your own story. So pause for a moment and ask yourself, what does enough really look like for you? Is it a number? A feeling? A lifestyle? A legacy? Let your answer guide your next chapter, not just financially, but emotionally and spiritually. Because in the end, retirement isn't just a destination. It's a journey, and peace of mind is the greatest wealth of all. Conclusion. You've made it to the end, and that alone is a powerful step toward taking control of your financial future. The journey through retirement planning isn't just about numbers and accounts. It's about designing a life filled with security, peace, and purpose. Whether you're decades away from retiring or already enjoying your golden years, remember this: you now have the tools, strategies, and confidence to make your money last. You have the power to shape your financial destiny, avoid costly mistakes, and live out your retirement on your own terms. Every decision you make, from budgeting to estate planning, adds up to a future that reflects your values and dreams. So what's next? Take action. Don't let this knowledge sit on the shelf. Revisit your plan. Talk to your loved ones. Update your will. Rethink your spending. And define what enough really looks like for you. Retirement isn't about doing less. It's about living more intentionally. Start where you are, use what you have, and commit to continuous growth. You're not alone on this journey. Every step forward counts, and your future self will thank you for the decisions you make today. If you found this video valuable, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more empowering financial content. Leave a comment below and tell us, where are you watching from? Let's build a community of financially fearless individuals committed to making smart, lasting choices. Your story matters, your peace matters, and your legacy starts now. Take the first step and watch the rest of your life unfold with clarity, confidence, and calm.